exactly are we celebrating?
We're engaged. You cannot marry a murderer.
Matt is actively taking steps to change.
I was sick, but I am healing.
The West Side Ripper is back.
Yeah, I was actually, before she got hired, I was randomly binge watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I had actually never seen the show, and I would love to say it is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. And I fell so in love with her. I thought she was so brilliant. And then I heard she was coming on the show and loved her immediately. We were so comedically connected, and she's so funny and so natural. And she actually, her character goes through a lot in this season, and she got to, and it's funny because, you know, scripts are coming out as we're shooting, so she didn't even know where her character was going. And I remember as like, I don't want to say too much, but when the stuff started coming to the surface, she was like, I was like, oh my God, look what your character's doing. Like, it was really fun to share that with her. She was an absolute joy, like loved having her with us. Finally got to work with a real comedic actor.
I knew it was
Well, you kept looking at me. You were waiting for me to say what it is.
Yeah.
It was
How
on
did
the
it
tip
feel?
of,
You were
I
working
finally
with
had
a pro.
someone that
Yeah.
could, when I toss something up, they could
comes
send it back.
Yeah.
Unlike you.
Yeah. It just dip.
Yep,
The ball just.
It's like the little sad bouncy ball that no one wants.
Yeah. I guess, you know, they're both pretty guilty of dumbness. But that was a big gamble. And stupid of Nathan to do.
Listen, they made one really bad choice a handful of years ago, and they are still paying for it. And that's the thing. They're stuck in this web with Matt, who is now like in love with her sister, and we're dealing with this weird family dynamic. They all have dirt on each other, right? And so no one can really get out of this. They're kind of stuck, and it leads to hijinks and comedy, but it's also going to lead to, like, what happens at the season is someone's going to get in trouble finally.
I would like a prison storyline.
He does. He wants to be in Prison Break.
Yeah, I want to be in prison and almost not want to get out because I have a new identity in there as the West Side Ripper. What about you?
I want them to get in trouble, or I want Matt to get in trouble. I've watched enough true crime to know anything can happen. People get off, people make deals, people that are guilty, go to prison, or they don't. But I think that they should have to pay for their sins at this point, especially Matt. And, he really screwed them over at the end, but they're idiots. They've kind of let it happen. So I'd actually be very curious to see where this could go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options, but we'd love to tie this up, have a third season and tie it up and really kind of close the gap and have this perfect little couple seasons of a show,
It was an interesting, the whole arc of Tori was completely unexpected for me going into season 2, and it was a nice challenge. And I think that the difficulty of that, like the weight of that change, it was definitely alleviated working across from Tom, and we had such a good time. I am really curious about where Tori is and where she went and what her plans are. Obviously, there's a reason why you leave those things open-ended, and I'm curious to see like what headspace Tori is in, and I like that we don't know, because she obviously loves Matt, and I think that she's sort of in this very toxic and intoxicating relationship with him, and the highs are highs and the lows are lows. And I think given her background and her family life and how she grew up, that there is this like sense of addiction and excitement with her connection with Matt. So yeah, I don't know where her headspace is, and I'm curious to find out. I think that she could go one or two directions. She could fully run away, or she could really lean in. So I'm curious. She really leaned in and committed to Matt, so it's not out of the question.
No one cares for Tori. I'm joking. I think what was super fun was my own take on it, which is super interesting when you're creating a television show, right? Because you can change this as you go along, depending on what people like and what they don't like, and how much road you have to run with it. My personal take on it was, how can someone who has done the awful things that he has done in season 1 and prior to season 1 suddenly discover that he has a heart that can be used for good? So I struggled to match that up, and a lot of that was to do with the work I'd done building him in the first place, this sort of numb detachment from the world. However, what I was really interested in was the space. So in answer to your question, I went in there thinking this is all a play. What he wants to do is go behind enemy lines, and the way he does that is to seduce the younger sister and to get into their house and use her as a shield of authenticity, to just go, look, if she believes in me, you're going to have to choose between your sister and me, really, because we come together now, which is a super smart move for him as a character. And it made it so fun, the dynamic being literally, I think the first scene we shot, one of the first days, was Kaylee, Chris, Liana, and me at this dinner table. And it was super fun doing it. I thought, I did not see this coming, a serial killer coming for dinner. It's so fun. But what I found really interesting throughout the series was playing with that idea. And our second director, Anu, fantastic. She also directed a block of us in the first season, really wanting to like push that Matt starts to get confused between the character he is playing and the reality. I mean, if you play a character, any undercover cop will tell you this. If you play a character for long enough, you become that character, and it gets very, very difficult to distinguish between the truth and the lie. And spending so much time with her as a character, how can he not? You start to become affectionate towards this person. So I thought it was really fun to do that. But then ultimately, I think him as a character, he's never going to do what you expect, and everything's a game really to him.
We had a lot of fun this season asking the question of whether or not Matt can be redeemed. Can he change? And so we begin the season with, he's in this relationship with Tori, and she believes in him and loves him and thinks killing is an addiction that he can recover from. And then we'll watch her be pulled into that belief system and taken down that really dark road. And then, like you said, by the end, we'll be asking whether or not that was possible. We always want to keep the door open to think that maybe he can recover, he could be a better person. But I think ultimately what we'll see is that, a sociopath is a sociopath, and he's so appealing and so seductive, but ultimately, he can't be trusted. He can't be believed in, but what's interesting to reflect in these characters that we love, in Ava and Nathan and Tori, is that desire to believe him, that desire to want to follow him, even down that really, really dark path.